Oh boy. Oh boy, everything's like going off without a hitch tonight. Already. First stream on a brand new channel and already I've got issues, but I'll explain that later. Hello everyone and welcome to the very first stream on the brand new Nash Thunderclap live channel. Of course, I am Nash Thunderclap. And you don't know who I am, I'll just explain it real quick. I've been streaming. I've been on YouTube for years and years and years. I used to upload videos. Probably, oh god, the last one was probably around 2019, maybe, on an older channel of mine. And then 4 years ago, I decided to get into the streaming business as Nash Thunderclap. So I've been streaming on Kick and Twitch, and then on YouTube. There was a mix of how I did my live stuff. Either I did it exclusively on Twitch, bring it over to YouTube, and then I brought it back to Twitch, incorporating Kick, and then I upload those videos on the Nash Thunderclap channel, which is at Nash Thunderclap. And then I had decided I wanted to pick up the reins of commentary. So I decided to make a separate channel called Nash Thunderclap Live. I don't even know what to call this. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I even have a name for this. This may be just Nash Thunderclap Live. Um, I wanted to keep it separated from my gameplay stuff because I didn't want all that to get melded together, and then that way I could probably build an audience on this platform that will be strictly commentary. And if you have not seen it, I've got some videos that kind of got me started off on that channel, just kind of as a jumping point, a testing pattern, if you will, just to see if this is something that I can do. I will warn you, if this is the first time, you've ever if you've ever caught any of my streams, the bumpy roads are gonna lie ahead, mostly for a couple of reasons. One, I have a terrible speech pattern, so I hang my words all the time. My brain moves faster than my mouth, so sometimes I will get stuck on what I'm trying to say, and I probably won't word it the right way. And so it may end up sounding confusing. Two, I'm probably going to have terrible takes, but remember, these are just my opinions. If you disagree, you disagree. If you agree, you agree. But it's just my opinion. It's not going to hurt anybody. And go back to back to the speech kind of thing. Yeah, my brain locks up quite a bit as I scratch my leg. My brain will lock up quite a bit, so I'll get stuck. So just bear with me. I will get there eventually. Four, I'm not very entertaining. I try to be. I hope to be. But if you can find some kind of entertainment in this, hey, I feel like I've done my job. It is a progress, because this is going to be a little bit different than what I've done over on my gaming streams where I just chime in here and there. This is going to be continuous talk. So I'm going to try and make it about as valid points as I can. With that being said, I got a little bit of a hang up trying to get on here. So on this particular stream, I'm trying to do things a little bit differently. I'm using a different streaming software as I normally would on my gaming streams. I'm using Streamlabs on that. I'm using OBS on this. It's still a work in progress. I've still got a lot of stuff that I need to kind of go in there. I mean, I still haven't added in all the some of the buttons and stuff that I do for my normal gaming streams. Like as you can tell, I've got my socials in the corner. This because I got it from here and it carried over there. But stuff like my clips, my subscribe button, all of that, I haven't gotten that over yet. So I'm still going to be working on this, but this is going to be the primary streaming platform that I'm going to be using to stream these type of videos on. But with that, I was going to stream on Streamlabs. But the problem with that, and I didn't encounter that, got the profile logged in and everything, but everything that I use on there didn't carry over. And I was trying to import it. It was going to take too long. So I threw in some little things here and there real quick to where it'll have somewhat of a opening and somewhat of a closing, and something just kiltered on my camera here. Hold on. All right. Wow. For whatever reason, I guess there was some kind of surge on my USB. See, always technical issues. That's what you'll get with me. Technical issues. But we're good now. If you are watching, if anybody's watching on YouTube, if the audio, it looks like the audio is coming through. I'm assuming it is. Let me see if I can jump over here. Maybe I can get this. YouTube. Okay. Wow, hold on. I got to hear that. It's coming through. I'm assuming it is. Okay, got it. Oh, yeah, and that's another thing. My voice is annoying. I apologize about that. Extremely annoying. I have to live with it every day. And I have to hear it. Even when I don't open my mouth, I hear it in my head. It drives me wild. It drives me nuts. Okay, so we got that all out of the way. I will go ahead and do my plugs. Typically, I'm probably not going to do that a whole lot on this channel, but because Dad up there is doing all the work. But I'll give it to you just like I give it to you on the gaming channel. So here's my plugs. Don't forget to follow me on Kick, subscribe to me on Twitch, subscribe to me on youtube.com/@NashThunderclap, and now this channel, @NashThunderclap Live. I'm on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Zitter, where you get all my updates. Everything's Nash Thunderclap. While you're here, if you can, for this very first stream, I really would appreciate it if you would like, and please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So we are here. We're going to do some commentary tonight. We're going to talk about a few things. That's driving me nuts, so I'm going to pull that down just a little bit. A little peek behind the counter. Peek behind the curtain again. But what I'm going to talk to you, everybody, tonight, we are going to talk about Switch 2 news. We're going to talk about some stuff that just came up, some stuff that I missed between that has come up between the last time I streamed on Nash Thunderclap. Going to talk about Marathon, which kind of breezed through, and just some little things here and there. And in the meantime, we'll probably sprinkle one or two little things, maybe watch a video that goes along with the topics. So we're going to do that. We're going to try and keep this a tight stream. We're not going to go too crazy long, just a little bit to kind of get the points across and the things I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's start on the very first topic, the Nintendo Switch 2. And it seems like it's like Nintendo cannot do any right with this Nintendo Switch 2. Whether it's the pricing, whether it's been just the features that they've announced for it, the stuff as far as how the game cards work, postponing the pre-orders, all of that stuff. They do no right. And with their everything and every kind of live stream that they've done after the Nintendo Direct has been filled with the chat saying, drop the price, raise the price, drop the price, drop the price, drop the price. But we did get kind of an update, and we'll start with this, that started, and I'm going to have to do this manually. We're going to go right over here. So we're going to start right off. This was on the 18th of April. We finally got news of a Nintendo Switch retail pricing and pre-orders, all beginning April 24th. That will be this Thursday, this upcoming Thursday. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about this article real quick and what they did do. So we'll just go ahead and cover this real quick. Retail pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 will begin April 24th, 2025. At launch, the price for Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will remain as announced on April 2nd at $449.99, and the Switch 2 plus Mario Kart bundle will remain as announced at $499.99. Pricing for both physical and digital versions of Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, $80 and $70 respectively, will also remain unchanged at launch. So they're not going to change the prices of the games or the system. That's where the next line comes in, and I am not surprised by this. So if you've worked in if you've ever been in gaming retail like I have, I can explain this. However, Nintendo Switch 2 accessories will experience price adjustments from those announced on April 2nd due to changes in market conditions. Other adjustments to the price of any Nintendo product are also possible in the future depending on market conditions. So what that means is your games could go up in price, your system could go up in price depending on how the tariffs are going to be looking. So Nintendo has manufacturing in China and Vietnam. I think this is how it actually works. Nintendo manufactures in China, they ship to Vietnam to the United States because of to get lower taxes and to get around certain kind of sanctions and stuff. Well, I don't think the US has sanctions on China. I don't think they do. But I've also heard they manufacture in Vietnam, so they probably manufacture in both places. So there is a 90-day pause on the tariffs. If they can't get anything fixed on that, I could see the Switch 2 is probably going to go. I could see it going up to $500, but I've heard guesses at the $600 and $700 range. The pricing on the system right now has a lot of people up in arms. Hardcore gamers, not so much, because this is what we're used to. We saw it with the other systems. Those went up in price, but it was almost like the price was warranted and expected because of the high level of upgrades between the previous generations. Switch 2 just looks like a regular Switch, and they just up the hardware a little bit. And keep in mind, the hardware in a Switch 2 is 2020 technology. So yes, of course, it'll do 1080 on a handheld. It'll do 4K up to 120 frames per second docked. Standard an HD LED screen, no OLED, which that would have jumped the price up. But don't be surprised that later on they will do an OLED. So the next iteration, they will do an OLED unless they do something like a Switch 2 Mini or a Switch 2 Lite, which depending on how the developers are going to use the mouse controls, which I could see them using the mouse controls quite a bit, especially if you get your games like your Call of Duty or your first-person shooters in there. And if you get that in there, that may not happen. But if it's one of those optional, things, and it's only relegated to games specifically that use the mouse, like whatever the wheelchair basketball game is, games like that, you could probably see that. So if they go the same route they did with the Switch 1, it would be Switch 2, Switch 2 Lite, Switch 2 OLED. But right now, there could be a possibility that the Switch 2 could go up in price. That's what they're making out. But as far as the accessories going up in price, that's been something that all the manufacturers have been doing for years. They will raise the price of the accessories because you're probably going to sell more accessories to go with the systems. I'm talking about extra controllers, extra little knickknacks, cases, all of that stuff. So that will probably make up the pricing in that. But some of these prices I don't know. Some of this stuff was already expensive as it is. So we've already covered the Switch 2 and we've already covered this stuff here. So let's kind of get down to these pricing here. And actually, let me go back a little bit. Let me see if I can pull up a. Sorry about that. I'm having to do that manually. Let me see. Uh, is I did see a chart that was comparing the prices, and I don't see that. See, that might be in images. All right, yeah, here we go. Here we go. So we got everything right here. All right, sorry about that, guys. All right, so blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Let me make sure I am going live. I just got a sorry guys, I just got a somebody was asking me if I went live. Answer this real quick. This is a great first stream starting right out of the gate, right? Already just with the hiccups. Sorry guys, and my everything's loading over here. All right, so we got us a nice little thanks to Reddit. We got us a nice little price chart here. That will see what the difference is between the accessory prices. So let's look at number 6 here, the Pro Controller. So the Pro Controller, is this Canadian pricing? Come on. All right, so we're gonna look at this one more time. Already just off to a terrible spot. Okay, I don't know what the MSRP 109. This does not look like that matching up. All right, so we could probably at least see what the original price. So the original pricing in most cases went up either $1 to $5. So the Pro controller here, I believe that was $79.99. That's up to $84.99. The Joy Cons, I know those were $90. They're now $95. Charge grip was 35. They went up to 40. The Joy-Con 2 strap went from 12 yeah, $13 to $14. The wheel set was $20. It's now $25. The Switch 2 camera, which from what I've been told, there's two cameras. There's one that's just a regular camera and one that looks like the Piranha Plant. And I don't know which one this is, but it went from $50 to $55. Interesting fact about the camera. Apparently, the regular camera will do 1080, and then the Piranha Plant camera will do 720. And the Switch 2 still has bad compression. Hey, Stalking, I see you in the chat. And subscribed. Thank you for the subscription. Talking, I greatly appreciate that. I greatly appreciate that. Since you just joined me, it's been a pretty rocky start already. So here's one that's pretty egregious right here. So this is the Switch 2 dock set. Going up to that one was right at $100, I believe, and it went up to 120. Dock sets are dock sets. If you are like me and you have multiple TVs and you want to uh not play in handheld, like when you're laying in bed, you just want to do it off the TV when you're in your bedroom, or in fact in here when I'm streaming, instead of carrying docks all over the place, it is essential that you get a second dock. In my case, I'm probably gonna have to buy one more dock. That's $120 right there. And the docks that I've got for the Switch One, the only reason why I've got multiple docks, thanks to Toys R Us and them going out of business. We've got a screen protector kit that's going from 35 to 40. An all-in-one case that's $80 to 85. A Switch 2 AC adapter will go from $29.99 to $34.99. They're going to tell you have to use a specific AC adapter. It's going to be the wattage, whatever wattage it's going to use. There's going to be third parties. There's going to be AC adapters all over the place you could probably already use. And then the Samsung, look at that. Samsung, not SanDisk, which they had been advertising. Samsung micro SD express cards are going to $60. I think that was already the regular price on those cards. $60. So that's how you're going to make up your pricing. If you can't raise the price of the system in the games, you make it up for in the accessories. There's going to be a lot of people, I will tell you just off of my experience, they're probably going to get a Pro Controller. Joy-Con straps, which come with the system. Why you got to charge for those? You'll probably get some people that get the camera. You may get a few that get the dock set, but they're definitely going to get the carrying case and screen protector. Which, to be fair, the third-party Chinese knockoff companies, I guarantee you they've already got them up on Amazon as we speak. Probably at a much lower price, or if it's at that price, you're gonna get a ton of accessories. That's gonna be worth your price. Talking says we better start saving our pennies. Yes, we do. Actually, no, I didn't do it. Well, check something on here. See if I did not do it. I have not done anything to set up the highlighting chats yet. See, I'm on OBS, so Talking says, looks like my Switch 2 is going to be decked out in Temu bling. I can pretty much guarantee you that. That is what's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of buy. But people are going to buy accessories. Your normies are going to buy accessories, at least a controller, if they're not wise up to the fact that they can use their Switch 1 stuff on the Switch 2. But we're talking about pricing, right? We've already talked about the games. Mario Kart World, they can't explain the justification for that $80 pricing other than the development and all that. They've had a direct explaining all that stuff, and it didn't really show off why it was $80. Well, let's go to another egregious thing over here from Games Radar. This is a story from last week. So they're going to be re-releasing Switch 1 games with Switch 2 updates, not at a lower price. In fact, at a higher price, depending on the game. But we're going to talk about one that's really egregious here. Breath of the Wild 2. The full Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild experience on Switch 2 will cost $90, including DLC. As Nintendo confirms, the expansion pass isn't included in the re-release. This game is 8 years old. It is 8 years old. So essentially, what they're going to be doing, the game will come. It's going to be 70. It's going to be $70. It's going to be $70. It will not come with the expansion. The expansion is $20. So if you want the complete game, you're going to end up spending $90 for an 8-year-old game. And people are not justifying any of that stuff. Especially when you've got like them re-releasing the Tears of the Kingdom. That's going to be $80 right off the gut. But they didn't do any DLC as far as I can remember on that. The Kirby is going to be, I believe Kirby is going to be $80. Some of these are older games. I can't justify the higher price for older games. But Nintendo does that on their IP, especially here recently. I've said before, the last time Nintendo did player selects, I believe was when the Wii was out. And the system was towards the tail end of its life cycle. And they dropped those games down to $20. They've made more than enough money off of these games to where they could drop them down to, even drop them down to a $30 price range. But no, they are fully behind this IP. The IP is justifying the price of staying at the full day one release prices, to the point to where Sony has gotten to the point to where on their games they are justifying full day one retail pricing on all of their games because of the value of their games. And it's absolutely ridiculous because this shows pretty much how tone deaf Nintendo is. They could have released this with the expansion and the Switch 2 upgrade. If you wanted to do that at $50, cool. But now you just look like you're price gouging. You are absolutely price gouging these older games. You can justify the newer games at that price point. We don't have to agree with it, but you can justify that. Talking says OBS is a headache at first, but once you understand it and get used to it, it's much better. Yeah, that's the whole idea. I want to do everything different. But talking initially, I was going to stream off of Streamlabs, but the new profile, the new channel would not carry my profile over, and it was going to take forever to export it. So, hey, let's do it on OBS. As long as everything is coming in crystal clear, we're going to be good. We'll be good on that. So there is that on the game. So basically, they're price gouging us for the games, in my opinion, and this is going to lead to the other companies price gouging their games. We already know this will be justification for GTA 6 to be $100. I honestly don't think it's going to be $100. I think they're going to push their luck and go for $120. They are going to press their luck and go for $120. You can call that a prediction right there. But with Nintendo being completely tone deaf with this whole Switch 2 thing, you've got other people in the games industry talking about it. So this is from Nintendo Life. Sony vet Yushui Yoshida, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, says Nintendo is losing their identity with Switch 2. And I believe there was a video with this, but we don't have it. So we'll just go to this point. This is an interview that he had with Easy Allies. But basically his quote was this: to me, it was a bit of a mixed message from Nintendo. In a sense, I think Nintendo is losing their identity, in my opinion. For me, they're always about creating a new experience, designing hardware and games together to create something, an amazing new experience. But Switch 2, as we all anticipated, is a better Switch, right? It's a larger screen, more powerful processor, higher resolution, 4K, 120 frames per second. They even had the hardware person starting the stream like other platforms do, right? And because it's a better Switch, the whole core premise of the Switch 2 is, we made things better. And that's something that other companies have been doing for a long time. And then he goes on to say that folks who only play Nintendo platforms, the closer parity is to comparing consoles is a great thing, but for the more passionate gamers who perhaps own multiple systems and third party games shown during the direct were, in words, oh. Yeah, because a lot of the third party games are games that have been on Xbox and PlayStation already, like Cyberpunk, Street Fighter 6, and your only gimmick on that is, hey, you can take these on the go now. Well, PlayStation's got PlayStation Portal, which is $200, and now apparently with the updates that has been given, apparently it runs really good now. And then Xbox has a rumored portable coming out sometime maybe later this year or next year. That all it is going to be a Rock Ally, an Asus Ally. That I'm pretty sure is going to work the same way. It's going to be more on the PC stuff, and you get access to Game Pass, which will probably be the PC Game Pass, which a lot of the console Xbox games are on that. Dawkins says, or if you have a Stream Deck, you can take it to on the go. A lot of comparisons there. That's been the counterpoint to the Switch 2. Well, I have a Stream Deck. I've got a Roxas Ally. I'm sorry, an Asus Ally. You know, I've got a Switch 1. I've got tons of games. I've got more than enough games in my back catalog for a Switch 1 that does not give me any reason to buy a Switch 2, at least not right now. Hell, I've got screens attached to my PlayStation 5 Mini and my Xbox Series S. I can take those on the go. And the Series S is not that cumbersome. So I could just sit it on a little table and play it from there. That's what I used to do. I haven't done it here lately, but that's what I used to do. And it almost seems like Nintendo with the Switch 2, with what they've announced with it, is they went for the more technical fan base and not the casual fan base. Because mom and dad, they're not going to give two. They're not going to. Sorry, I think my Google went off in the other room. They're not going to give two shits about 4K or frames per second. They're not going to care about all that. All they're going to see is that's a new Switch I got to buy for my kids, so they'll shut up. And it could be that they'll look at it and they'll think this is the exact same thing as the Switch 1, other than it's bigger. They're going to just think that it's just the same Switch, but bigger. That's all they're going to be thinking. So we could possibly have a Wii U situation with this. But, when you're getting insiders in here, because these insiders do look at Nintendo. Nintendo does not look at them as competition, but these platforms like Microsoft and Sony, they look at Nintendo and like, what can we do that Nintendo's doing and apply it to us? And you can look at the past on the many attempts that they have tried to emulate Nintendo on things. A perfect example is when Sony released the Move controllers and when Microsoft did Kinect. They wanted to copy Nintendo and grab a little piece of their pie for the motion gaming stuff. So, I mean, but this is going to go one or two ways with Nintendo overall. Probably in their first year, they're going to succeed, and then it'll get a little bit better after that first year, and then people that are hesitant will slowly adopt it, or it's going to be like the Wii U. It'll sell well at first, but then it'll slow off, and because people will get confused by what it is. And then once that happens, once your third parties stop dropping support for it, you know you're going to be pretty much done with it. So, I thought it was a good time. There's a video I want to look at right here from a YouTuber called It's a Gundam, which is a 16-minute video we're going to look at, and he's going to basically kind of just sum everything up with that. So I think we will let's watch this video, let's react to it, and kind of see if we agree on the same things on that. And let me know if you do not hear if there's any audio issues with that. So we're going to hit play and go.
The Nintendo Switch 2, one of the gaming industry's worst kept secrets. The Nintendo Switch 2, one of the gaming industry's worst kept secrets.
Put down the gun. What's in the box? Don't worry about it. Hey, who wants to hear a joke? What's in the box?
All right, we're going to skip a little bit.
Tighter than the in 4K.
All right, he's doing. Yo, as much as I want to give this man his props on his
Remaker Genki leaked. It's just better internet. Go to
Never mind.
proton.com/Gundam
Let the man get
and
his
get
plugs
a
in.
mega exclusive 64% discount. Accessory maker Genki leaked the Nintendo Switch 2 at CES in January. Nintendo denied all the leaks per as usual.
No.
Of course they did. That's what Nintendo does. Oh, you saw nothing.
But we all knew it was the Switch 2. The hype was real. Nintendo fans are the weeb equivalent of Disney adults. And this news
I do not disagree with that. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm a big Nintendo guy. Not to that degree.
tickled them right in their Mario sunshine.
Nintendo Direct because people were screaming, excited, everyone is yelling, and it was so fun kind of seeing what people were most excited about.
Gay.
8 days later, Nintendo saw the writing on the wall that everybody knew this was the Switch 2, and no amount of going, no it isn't, wasn't going to fool anybody. So they revealed the Switch 2, and the children cheered in delight. And when I say children, I mean adults with Funko Pop collections. And you might say,
Gundam, don't you have a model kit collection?
and I'd say, yes, of course, you fool. These are the choices made by an Apex collector.
Yes, I do have Funko Pops myself, and they are all in a box because I'm not taking them out of the box after the move. I don't even think I have any out. Now, I got a shitload of amiibos back here, if that tells you anything. Because I had to fill out the back room. Those would have left in the box, but, we can talk about amiibos in a minute.
Nerd.
It was at this point that even I was considering buying a Nintendo Switch to see what all the fuss was about. On April 2nd, Nintendo Direct posted an hour-long video of the juicy Switch details. Nintendo started showing off games and peripherals, many of which didn't appeal to me, like a webcam, but maybe great if you're a parent and you want to game with your kids on the Switch while you're traveling for work. But then
Like says, it tells me you found a damn good clearance deal. What, on the amiibos or the pops? Because I didn't. I bought all that crap at full price. With Funko Pop collections, it's pretty much like, here's the thing. It's cool. It was cool at the time. Yeah, Funko Pops. We get little figurines of like obscure franchises and properties. And then after a while, it's just like, this is just stupid. I can't believe I got into this. But apparently the damn things are worth a lot of money depending on the pop that you got. But now if you go like to your local Walmart, they barely have them anymore depending on the Walmart you go to. If you go to Target, the aisle or the shelf space has shrunk. And if you go to your local GameStop, they still have a ton of them, but they're getting to where they're clearancing those suckers out. My local video game store has walls. I'm talking about 24 to 50 feet of wall space just for Pops, because they've sold everything else in there and they keep taking the damn things in. At some point, you gotta look yourself in the mirror and like, when am I gonna stop? When am I gonna stop this? All right, back to topic.
And I saw this very strange message.
A Nintendo Switch Online membership will be required to use the game chat.
You need an online subscription just to chat with your friends and family on Game Chat.
Well, let's be fair. I think you have to do that on Xbox too. Like, you have to have Xbox Live in order to chat with somebody. But I could be wrong. I've had Xbox Live for so damn long, I don't even know anymore.
This business model worked for the early days of Xbox Live, but it's 2025. You can always FaceTime someone with your iPhone if you need to. Steam allows you to chat with your friends on the Steam Deck with no extra charge or fees. Whatever. Nintendo's going to Nintendo. But they did have some cool features like Game Share, where one person could share a single game with everyone else in the room that had a Switch.
That was pretty cool. That kind of harpens back on some of the games they used to do with the 3DS, because they used to do that with the 3DS, but it was limited. So, like, if you wanted to game share Mario Kart, the person that is getting the share would only get access to one driver, and that was Shy Guy. And that was the only way you could actually use Shy Guy on Mario Kart. What was it? The 3DS? Mario Kart 7? I think that's what it was. Mario Kart 7? I think that's what it was. Mario Kart 7.
This seems awesome. Nintendo Direct showed off a strong line of games and backwards compatibility with popular titles, which from what I can tell is just emulation. So,
like it says, Gay Station has PlayStation has Game Share, doesn't it? I am not sure. We'll put a pin on that. We'll look it up after the video.
You could do all of this on the Steam Deck with a much bigger library. But I digress. The Steam Deck requires you to use 2 neurons, and ain't nobody got time for that. Vintage
Yes, ain't nobody got time for that.
Gamer said the Switch 2 would use emulation almost 2 years ago. People wanted to burn this man at the stake. They called him a grifter and shameless. And in the last 5 days, he was vindicated. Of course, no one will ever say sorry on the internet because everyone's an asshole.
So this particular
He is correct. Everybody on the internet is an asshole. So yeah, before this is the guy that I was talking about. So the Switch 2 will only run the Switch 1 games through emulation, which Xbox does that. I think that's how PlayStation does the PS4 games. I don't know if it does that through hardware or not. That's actually a good question. Correct me if I'm wrong.
information comes from the Ask a Developer blog series on Nintendo.com. It's tricky to explain. Maybe the easiest way to understand it is that the methods used to achieve compatibility between Nintendo DS and 3DS and between Switch and Switch 2 are completely different. Simply put, those systems were compatible because Nintendo 3DS contained DS hardware and Wii U contained Wii hardware, as we said. However, Switch 2 doesn't contain any Switch hardware. And this is where we get into the meat of the discussion. Does this mean that Switch and Switch 2 aren't compatible at a hardware level? Exactly. This time we decided to take on the challenge of using new technology to run Switch games. If we tried to use a technology like software emulators, we'd have to run Switch 2 at full capacity. But that would mean the battery wouldn't last so long, so we did something that's somewhere in between a software emulator and hardware compatibility.
He's a monster.
So, I mean, we've already established that the Switch 2 is going to have awful battery life anyway. What difference does it make? That's why you were nice enough to put those USB connectors on the top and the bottom. But, tell that to little 5-year-old Jimmy who throws a hissy fit because they're trying to play a Switch 1 game on their Switch 2 because Mom and Dad bought the Switch 2, but they couldn't buy any games because they were too damn expensive. So, well, at least you got some games to play on that. And then they wanted to play the old Mario Kart on there, and it only lasted an hour. Well, what are you to do? Well, you do like any other some modern parents do. You take that tablet or you take that cell phone and you slap it in their face and they can watch Bluey.
Everything seemed positive about the Switch 2. Even I was primed and ready to go. Take my money, please. Higeo Miyamuro? I don't know who the hell works at Nintendo anymore. But like all things in the 2020s, all that hope and optimism was gone. The game prices were revealed and the hype dropped faster and harder than my portfolio investment after the tariffs. During the Mario livestream, fans began to revolt.
Drop the prices.
Increase the prices.
Drop the prices. Drop the prices. Boo! Boo! Hiss!
Man, boo.
Every chat, every live stream they have done after the direct, that's what it looks like.
Ooh, tomato, tomato, tomato.
The children were squealing in horror.
Former Nintendo PR says Switch 2 and Mario Kart World Backlash are a true crisis moment.
Don't worry, it's Nintendo. They're not going to change anything because they know you people will pay.
Nintendo
Yeah, because we're all suckers.
pumps game prices on the digital Switch 2 games to $80. Physical games are $90. Gaming at a new MSRP of $80 is here thanks to Nintendo. New Switch 2 platform pricing scheme. But that's only for digital. Physical games will be $90.
My disappointment.
So that's already been debunked right there. So that kind of shows you when he made this video, but that's been debunked. And the media, the game journalists ran with it. But what it was the pricing in overseas due to like, you know, the difference between the dollar and whatnot was going to be $90, I think, in Europe. So the games physically and digitally here are still going to be, for the most part, they're going to match up. But I remember a day when they were always talking about, well, if they're releasing them digitally, they should be cheaper than physical because they don't have to deal with any manufacturing. Well, from what I understand, and this is what it was explained to me when I worked GameStop years ago, the reason was they did not want to piss off the retailers, because why would you want to go to a physical brick and mortar store like a GameStop or go to Walmart or Target and pay, at the time, $50 for this game where I could go and download it directly from the source for $40? It's just crazy. But I honestly, I think that they just got greedy on it, and considering how many people actually buy more digital than physical, they're just raking it in over on that end because there's no overhead for any kind of manufacturing, but they still make them. But you don't see a whole lot of them out in the wild, especially Xbox games. Good God, you don't see a lot of Xbox games out in the wild. My Target near me got rid of their Xbox section. They only have 2 Xbox games in stock right now. The last time I went, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Assassin's Creed. That's it. They'll probably get the new games, get very little, and then they'll probably ship them off somewhere, or they'll probably sell them on clearance. There's no telling what they're going to do. And I love this clip, by the way. I got to get this clip.
And is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
Somehow.
Yeah, word up to, or as they say, shout out to Report of the Week.
Some way Nintendo'd so hard that everyone who was a fan of Nintendo couldn't imagine such a thing happening. Kind of like what's going on with the current administration.
I'm amazed of his genius.
Some Nintendo fans ran to defend the company because that's what you do. You defend the billion-dollar company you love more than most of your family members, especially your second cousin Daniel.
In the middle 90s, game pricing was here. Do you think that the $20 to $30 inflation for Nintendo is valid? It's been 20 plus years.
All right, using old Nintendo games costs more as your argument is lame and gay. Those are cartridges made with materials like plastic and copper. Some even had physics chips built into them for certain games. The game boxes came with manuals, posters, tchotchkes, stickers. All the stuff was in the base. Plus, there was no season pass, There was no extra bullshit they could put onto it. You got everything up front. In this day and age, when you got stuff like that, that's the special edition where they want $120 for it.
See, and that was my point exactly, because I got tired of them comparing like those prices from back then. He sums it up perfectly. Plastic, special chips, copper. They came with instruction guides. Sometimes they come with other little knickknacks and stuff like that. Plus, at the time, there was chip shortages, and the technology for that stuff was still pretty expensive. I mean, shit, during that time, it's not like with DVD. Like, you go to a Walmart now, you get like a standard DVD player for like $15. Around this time, DVD was starting to was in the early stages, $1,000. And I hate the fact that they say, well, if a Nintendo Nintendo Entertainment System came out now, it would be this much. No, it wouldn't, because it would be the same design, same chipset from that period, the exact same way. Like it'd be the exact build. And that build would be super cheap now, because it would have low memory, it'd have like a subpart chipset, all of that stuff. That absolutely makes no sense to me. It never does. So and plus, if you noticed in that little picture, he had, let me see if I can pull this up. Get over here. Yeah, here we go. All right, so look at this. Of course, you've got your N64 games, $60, $60, $65, $70. That's Star Wars. That's a licensed product. I'm not surprised that that's $70. Doom 64, special chipset, third party as well. Turok, $75. But here, look on the other side. Here's your disc-based games. NBA Shootout, $40. NBA Live, $50. Die Hard, licensed property, $55. Independence Day, licensed property, $55. See, that you can see right there that does not compute. That does not compute one way or either way. One little tiny little plastic disc compared to a piece of plastic with microchips, probably a battery, and copper in it. That kind of stuff. Stocking says, I mean, they're right. People will bitch, but they will also pay. Yeah, they will. And I've made the decision. I'm not gonna pre-order one. I'm gonna wait. I just don't see any desire to get a Switch 2. Because remember, I've been saying the last couple streams on my gaming streams, it went from like 50-50 to 60-40, then 70-30, and then what did I say, 90-10? It's just 100%. I just don't see doing it. Plus, I'm not going to get up in the morning and stand in front of the line at a GameStop. I'm not going to sit here and be like online, constantly hitting refresh on the Best Buy and Walmart websites to hopefully I can get it into the cart kind of thing. I'm just going to wait. And if I wait a year, like not this Christmas, but next Christmas, they're going to start doing some wacky bundles, which is going to be Mario Kart. Let's be fair. It'll be Mario Kart because they always do Mario Kart. They can't get away from Mario Kart. And there might be some places they may have it on sale. Shit, if it like drops, like gets really to where they can't push these things, they'll drop the price. I think they ended up doing it on the Wii U, but I'll have to check on that.
Was in the base. Plus, there was no season pass. There was no extra bullshit they could put onto it. You got everything up front. In this day and age, when you got stuff like that, that's the special edition where they want $120 for it. And the fact that digital games cost $80? What type of BS is this?
Gonna be seeing this image in the next few months. I can tell. Gonna say this once. These prices are absurd too. But you know what also existed in the 90s? Retail stores. You didn't have to buy the game to play.
He meant rental stores.
Play it. But they really aren't an option these days, are they?
The movie and gaming industry did a fantastic job of limiting consumers' options. to own the media that they bought. Or, in this case, to even rent a physical copy to see if you liked it.
So let's put a little thought into that real quick as far as a rentals. Do you think if somebody just out of the blue says, "Hey, we're going to bring back a very small brick and mortar rental store," how well do you think that would do? I mean, Redbox did it, and I heard it did very, very well. But hey, Redbox is gone now. You got GameFly. You don't hear a whole lot about GameFly anymore, but I'm sure people probably do GameFly. With this day and age, with the games being at this price, that's a good question. Talk among, bring it up in the chat or bring it up in the comments. Would a rental store, with these prices going up, would a rental store be successful? My thing is, if you're going to rent Switch games, good grief, I guarantee you they're going to lose those left and right. But then that's where the rental store would come out ahead. You would charge the retail price plus a little lost media fee, which would end up being $100. That'll teach them damn kids not to lose their shit or put it in their mouths.
Other people on Twitter knew that this was just greed, plain and simple.
$80 games are one thing. It's the $80 remasters that I really have a problem with. How did they justify this?
Hold on, let's pull that back just a tad. Okay, so I was right. $80 for Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That is not an $80 game. Great game. That is not an $80 game. Breath of the Wild. So yeah, $70. And then buy the expansion pack, that's $90. And then here's Tears of the Kingdom. $80. $80. See, at least with Capcom, even though that's just a game card, that's $60. Bravely Default, which is a re-release, it's a game card, that's $40. I mean, in this one, Mario Party Jamboree, that is not worth $80. I'm sorry. I love Mario Party, but that is not worth $80.
They didn't justify it. They just know people will pay these prices. What they're doing to gaming is disgusting. That region locking the $330 Switch 2 in Japan is one of the most egregious things I've ever seen them do, and that's saying something.
When you look at it, you can buy Wind Waker for around $50 on eBay for this, the GameCube, right? Breath of the Wild on the Switch is $40 on average, $20 on the Wii U. But the Switch 2 version is $70 to $80 for the digital version.
By the way, and I'm not saying this, but there are also other methods from this other methods like this great online store called Nefarious Means. Same name as my cable company, by the way.
And you don't get the
to get games
box or anything. Gamers on Twitter started turning on each other. Ironically,
it was Tuesday.
The more info that came out, the more pissed off the non-hardcore Nintendo fans became. How it works, you insert your game key card into the system. Step 2, you download the game. The game itself isn't included on the game key card, so you'll have to download it before you can play. When you insert the game key card, further instructions will be displayed on the home menu. Please follow the instructions to download the game. It's just basically a Steam key, but it's on a little piece of plastic. You can't really sell it then, because it's a key. The Switch 2 USB port.
And to be fair, some Xbox and PS5 games are set up like that too. When you buy it physical, there's very little on the disc, if anything at all. Essentially, it's just a key. You still download the game. The only thing that I like about this is you can sell those key cards, so you can trade them in, and you can put them. You can play them in different Switches. So it's not like your regular old Switch 1, game case that comes with a download code. It actually does have some use to it, but you're still downloading the game. You're still at risk for them pulling the game if the servers go down, or just on a whim they decide not to carry it on the eShop anymore. That's why these online only games, especially single player ones, need to be offline. Like if they're going to discontinue it, just say, all right, well, we're going to send you an update so that way you can play it offline.
USB-C port doesn't offer video output. All right. The console itself in America is $449 without Mario Kart. The Japanese release was $100 cheaper. But to keep the Americans from buying consoles in Japan at a lower price, the Japanese version was region locked. Gaming journalism.
Aha, but is it region locked to the games? Yeah, I guess that would be right. What was I thinking?
Immediately swept in to tell you about inflation.
Please, consumer, please. The billion-dollar company is starving. You have to understand that these prices are fair. If you adjust the launch of the Nintendo consoles for inflation, the Switch 2 isn't the most expensive one. But it's pretty close. Here are more details.
Whoopee, hooray! Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
I feel so much better now, knowing that the NES would have been $500 today.
Bullshit, it would not be.
Ugh, I was so close to not buying the Switch 2. And just when the
Plus, let's not forget the original Nintendo Entertainment System, the original action set, came with a system, 2 controllers, Rob the Robot, the Zapper, and 2 games, Duck Hunt and Gyromite. So whatever, and I think at that time it was over $100. You got a big value with that. And then after that, they would release Nintendo systems with a game. Whether it would come with some variation of Super Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and Track and Field, or whatever else. And then they did the same thing with the Super Nintendo. My Super Nintendo, I believe when I got my Super Nintendo, it came with Super Mario World.
Dust began to settle, the goddamn tariffs came in.
Jack punched the global socioeconomic landscape right in the sweetness.
Nintendo immediately postponed the pre-orders for the American launch of the Switch, and you might wonder why. Here's what I gather using common sense. Japan usually outsourced the manufacturing of the Switches to China. Then because of tariffs, China started outsourcing their work to Vietnam, trying to bypass tariffs the first time. But since the current administration has enacted tariffs across the board, even on a small island.
Yeah, there's nothing more hilarious than a dancing Trump.
And off the coast of Antarctica that is only inhabited by penguins. You don't believe me? Look it up. Frankly, nobody's safe.
Pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch in the US will not start in April 9th in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving marketing conditions. Nintendo will update the timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged. GameStop will continue to work closely with Nintendo to provide updates. As soon as more information becomes available, stay tuned for further details.
After the pre-order announcement, Nintendo wanted to let you know that Mario Kart was totally worth $80, and it will change your life. A Twitter user, Giant Called Me Astro, had this to say in response.
Red Dead Redemption cost $400 million to make, from the ground up and sold for $60. Meanwhile, Nintendo develops Mario Kart using reused assets for less than $50 million and want to sell it for $90. How can anyone possibly justify these atrocious prices from Nintendo?
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know they were using assets from the last Mario Kart. So they basically, all they did was redid the map and the courses, and a lot of other stuff was copy and paste. $80 for copy and paste. It's almost like it was a Steam asset flip.
Trump announced more tariffs, and China is so pissed off that they banned American movies. I guess they saw Snow White 2.
I always laugh at that. If you have a chance, there's some AI stuff with that actress making that face. The best one I've seen so far has been the French fried tater scene from Sling Blade. Oh, it's hilarious.
Enough. At the end of the day, the value of anything is determined by what people will pay for it. I highly doubt these prices will affect Nintendo at the end of the day. The real question is, will the Switch 2 be more expensive? They didn't consider tariffs at first when they were launching the Switch 2, but they will now, as this video clip will show.
Now we're sitting here on April 2nd. It just so happens, as we're recording this, the President of the United States right now is announcing his tariffs. You and so many other executives are pulling their hair out, trying to figure out, how do I price my products? How did that come into play as you're deciding how to price the Switch 2 here in the United States?
Yeah. As we price the Switch 2, the price we announced today of $449 for the single SKU, we didn't consider tariffs into that equation. We felt that that was going to be the right price point for our consumers and the right value proposition, if you will, for the device that we're creating. A lot of news today. We're still all trying to really understand it better and understand what possible impacts, may rise from that. But nothing I can really add to, today's discussion around pricing.
If you think Nintendo didn't see what Nvidia did to finesse the market and use the tariffs to get the maximum amount of profit from their GPUs during the 50 series launch, well, I have a jar of farts that if you take a deep sniff of, will make all of your dreams come true when you awake, and it's only $99.95.
Maybe heavenly?
I went to work. Satisfied customer posted online.
Oh, here's some good news.
Nintendo said.
Also, one thing that I kind of wanted to bring up, with the pricing on the Switch 2. Word is going around that it's costing Nintendo $400 to make these things. And I do not believe that, because this is, again, it's been well established. They're using 2020 technology in the Switch 2. Because they said they're not going to be making a profit on this. At best, I bet you the manufacturing on this was probably $200. They are gouging. But that's fine. It's the hardware. That's fine. Whatever. And I can already tell on the screen, I'm going to love this part.
Says it understands that some consumers won't be able to afford the Switch 2, which is why they're still making the Switch 1 available.
It reminds me of that dude when Xbox first launched, and he was like, if you don't want to always be online, you can play Xbox 360. Thank God, Nintendo's making sure that they don't leave without your money. But I'll give them this. If Nvidia was still making the 40 series graphics cards, I would have bought a 4090 rather than a 50 series card any day of the week. So, all sarcasm aside, I guess.
Hey, I'm not too familiar with graphics cards, but that's what I've been hearing too. Like the 40 series are the ones to go with.
This is kind of cool if you really want the Switch.
He said, in an attempt to give the right answer.
While finishing off this video, Canada got hit with a pre-order delay.
Oh no.
Regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 in Canada will not start on April 9th in 2025. In order to align with the timing of the pre-orders to be determined in the US, Nintendo will provide updated information at a later date, the launch date, blah, 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 blah. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Remember what I said about Nintendo fans being willing to pay?
Gamer Cage, please, don't delay it. I'll pay $90 for Mario Kart if you keep it. The Yanks screwed us over again. What else is new?
You know things are bad when people want to let you know they're not American, so they throw the Canadian flag in their bio. How is this America's fault, dude? I just woke up, man. What is your problem, you bigot? Well, you're all caught up. Everything really hinges on what Tweetler will do next. You can only hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And unfortunately, gamers are now feeling the pinch. It's so sad when people who have so little wake up to find that they'll have a little less and it'll cost a little more. And we're all just a little tired.
Another great video from It's a Gundam. So if you have never seen...
It is now time to go over.
We're not doing that. And because that's Hypnotic. Hypnotic right there. He does some good stuff too. But yeah, go check out It's a Gundam. That dude should have way more subscribers, but way more subscribers than he already has. Mostly because his content has been shadow blocked to hell and back, and he's been demonetized, and and canceled on Twitter, all this stuff, just because he has an opinion. And then if you get a chance, check out Hypnotic as well. Hypnotic is great. And I think we've watched. We'll probably end up watching a video or two of his as well. So he talked about Canada, and my theory and I had a theory. I don't know if it would be true, if it would make sense, but I'm thinking that they delayed the Canadian pre-orders because I believe when they ship to the United States, and then they get shipped out from the Nintendo of America warehouse to Canada. Because let's be fair, the systems that they get and the ones we get are the exact same systems, like as far as regions and all that stuff. So why do two multiple shipments to the same area when you could just do one, and then you could either fly it or drive it to the next country? Because Nintendo of America is in Washington, which is close to the border of Canada. So it's probably easy. They just take it there, put it over, because I'm pretty sure if there is anything to pay to get it across the border to Canada, it's probably cheaper, because maybe Canada's got tariffs on Vietnam that are more expensive than a tariff from the United States going to Canada. So that's probably what that is on that. All right, so I think we've had enough Nintendo talk. We have had Damn it, I keep doing that. I'm sorry. Got it. Once my Stream Deck is up and going again, I'll have this correct. So that's enough Nintendo talk. So let's talk about a game from Bungie that was announced this week, that we finally got a trailer for, and it is called Marathon. Marathon was one of the first games that Bungie did over a decade ago, and I think that was something that ran on Macintosh. I'm not, if I'm not correct on that, correct me on that. But it was on Apple. It was on Apple PCs. And it was the precursor to Halo. In some cases, they say it's a prequel to Halo. I never knew Marathon existed until Red vs. Blue, when they used Marathon assets to tell a flashback in one of the seasons of Red. When Red vs. Blue was good, not when once they got AT&T'd, and I'm gonna say they got AT&T'd because that's who ended up owning them when they bought Warner Brothers. So when they got AT&T'd and they got all corporate, and then people that weren't the founders that were writing it had terrible storylines, and then they end up turning it into some kind of weird action series that involved characters that I didn't care about. But it was basically the precursor to Halo. So if you've never heard of it, let's look a little bit of Marathon gameplay just to kind of give you an idea of what this game is. If it's a little too dark, I do apologize. It's dark on my screen as well. But it's your run-of-the-mill Doom clone. 3D world fighting against 2D sprite enemies. And this is the game that put Bungie on the map, but it was Halo that solidified them. But pretty much Doom, if you've seen one Doom type of game, you pretty much have seen them all. Like this, Dark Forces, Quake, I mean, they all pretty much ran the same. So with that, last week Bungie showed off the Marathon trailer for the new version of Marathon. So we can kind of take a look at that and see the differences between the old Marathon and the new Marathon. I always hate the trailer before the trailer. Just play the trailer.
The end of all things. But the dream is not over. My dream. Yours. Now. Run. All right, so we got September 23rd for Marathon. That's the first time I've actually really looked at the clip. And I'm getting a lot of Destiny vibes on that. A lot of it just looks like, but it's supposed to be an extraction shooter. So what that means is it's supposed to be different than Destiny, because I believe extraction shooters, you are going through a map and the goal is to get extracted off the map. I could be wrong, and I say that a lot. I could be wrong, but it doesn't really jump out as anything to me that it's going to be something that's just going to be like something I'm itching to play. I mean, and the thing with Destiny is I got tired of Destiny real quick, because Destiny and those games that are like Destiny, those free to play online, which Destiny was not free to play. You had to pay for it when you first got it. They just get boring because you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, which, a lot of games are just repetitive in nature, but most regular games, they may be repetitive, but there's an end to it. There's no end to Destiny, and there's no end to games like Destiny. You just do all the things on the map, or do all the things, and then you wait for a special event to do new same things. And it's not something that just jumps out at me. The artwork, I don't like it. It does not look good at all. I'm getting Concord vibes, but not quite as Concord vibey as that. But it's just kind of the way that thing it is about it. They're going to charge for this. They're going to charge $40 for this game. And that was one of the things that kind of, other than Concord just looking like garbage, it was that it was a model that should be free to play, and they charged $40 for it. And then they expected you to pile DLC into it as a constant thing. Now, granted, there have been other games in the past that you had to buy, and then they overloaded you with DLC.
Overwatch on console, for example, yeah, you had to spend, I think, $60, and then they got you with the loot boxes. And then after a while, it became free to play because that's where you're going to make your money. Now, at the same time, when Concord came out, you had Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals was free, but it had a look. It had an aesthetic to it. It drew people in with characters they knew from the Marvel Universe. And the designs, they had awesome looking designs. They took essentially Overwatch, made it third person. They freshened it up. It was a fresh take on Overwatch. And people are still playing that game to this day. I wish I had the Steam chart numbers we could take a look at, but I do not. But there's been more and more information come out since then. But one of the big things that came out of Marathon that was announced, Marathon will not have proximity chat because it'd be way too toxic. I don't think anyone has a good solution just yet. So I don't get this. I do not get this thought that we have to censor people in game chat because of toxicity. Games are meant to be competitive. And then people will get on there and they will say whatever. I'm pretty sure the same things are said out on the basketball court or a baseball field or a football field that they would say in a video game. But you're gonna say, Nash, they're not saying like rude and racist things out. I bet you they are. We don't know about it. I bet you they are, especially if it's not on a professional level. I'm sure on a professional level they probably have guidelines and stuff like that. If you're going to trash talk, keep it clean. I seriously doubt they enforce that. As long as the mics don't pick it up, I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. But this whole idea of them not pushing the mute button or not activating the chat, but we're always going to we're going to ban these people from the game, or we're going to take away something like proximity chat because these kind of things are crucial to these type of games. Instead of saying, hey, press the mute button or turn off the chat. You can do that. No, we have to go to another extreme on this. And it's like, you'll get these reporters that will put they put their experience into this. And that's what influences a lot of these game developers, because they got online, they got called every gamer word in the world. There was yelling. And instead of just going in and hitting the mute button so they don't have to listen to it, hey, this would make a great story of how toxic people are on chats. It's like Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty's got this thing on there to where they've got a reporting system. So if you report somebody that is being toxic with their chat, you can get them reported and get their accounts banned. Man, oh man, you tend to miss the good old days of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 lobbies. Because, oh my God, and I was even guilty of it. You said everything 6 days to Sunday. Of course, I was crude. I was never onto doing the N-word or anything like that because I never liked saying that anyway. But, I would say whatever, I would just insult, good old insults, like talking smack about their mother and stuff like that, those kind of things, the yelling and screaming. The thing that irritates me about chat now is people who talk in the background, or they're playing music in the background that's so damn loud that you can't hear yourself think. That's really bad in Grand Theft Auto. Oh, that's really bad. But instead of encouraging people to turn the chat off or mute the person that's talking to them, they got to go to extremes. And it's just like, well, report them or we're going to take this away. Now, when I play games now, I don't turn the chat on at all because I don't want to talk to anybody. And usually there's somebody in there that annoys me anyway, so I don't have to listen to it. And in most games, it's team chat. So like on Call of Duty, it's team chat. I play a lot of team deathmatch. You're only hearing your team anyway. And in most cases, in a lot of the games that I'm playing on Call of Duty, people don't talk in the chat anyway. So they must be doing it on PC. But I know on console, nobody talks to each other. Nobody talks to each other. But I just think it's just funny that you're going to get rid of proximity chat. And I don't know if these are like 1 versus 1 type of battles, like every man for himself, or is it going to be team based? But if you're going to have team based, yeah, of course you need a chat with your team. But if it's 1-on-1 and the proximity chat, who cares? Your first step to avoiding this stuff, if you don't like it, mute the chat, mute the person. Everybody, the entire majority should not have to suffer because a minority gets their fifis hurt because somebody said something they didn't like. And I really don't get that. But this is going to be a future in a lot of games like this. This won't be the last time we hear something about that. I would not be surprised down the road with a Call of Duty that feature that they are going to really start limiting the chat in that game. Call of Duty is supposed to be on the Switch at some point. Whether it's going to be the next Call of Duty or if they get Warzone over. And their excuse is, well, there's a lot of kids that play on this. A lot of kids play Fortnite too. And I have not, from my knowledge, I don't think they limit the chat on Fortnite. And I'm pretty sure they're cussing up and down the store. Kids, especially kids, because they're applying this to adults. But man, there have been some kids that have been online the last couple of years that they just happen to slip through on the chat because I forgot. Man, they say things 10 times worse than what any adult I've ever heard say. But they're just kids, you know? They don't know any better. But the adults, they know better. And that's how you really, once you kind of get to where you're really diminishing chat capabilities, it kills teamwork, especially if you're playing team-based games and you have a good rapport, you're playing with your friends and you have a system and chat is essential, you just kill it on there. But there's ways around that. People will just go on Discord or they'll do something. They'll do Discord on their phone or some kind of like voice chat option to where they'll communicate and they'll bypass the system. But I just think that the fact that we're getting to this point with the chat, instead of using the things that are already in place, it's just for people to like. It just ends up like they just want to assert some kind of control over things. And then if you give in to them for this, it doesn't stop. Then they're going to keep wanting more and more and more to where nothing is going to be playable. Nothing's going to be fun. So overall, Marathon, hey, if it's something you want to play, go right for it. I think the Destiny fans are going to be really jumping on board on that. I don't see myself playing it. I'm really picky on my first-person shooters. I mean, I used to play just about everything under the sun. Halo, Battlefield, Call of Duty, anything Overwatch, anything that looked fun. Now it's just I'm down to Call of Duty, and Call of Duty it's the lesser of all evils. But, that's just what I play multiplayer wise. But I mean, like I said, it is the lesser of all evils. But will it be something that succeeds? I think that price tag, what they're charging for it, I think, like I said, I think $40. That's going to be a real sticking point for something that should be free to play, especially if they're going to tack on microtransactions. That's going to be something tough to swallow. But if they get the Destiny players over to that, they may do okay. We'll just have to wait and see. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about one more thing, and then we're gonna end the stream on that. Good 90 minutes. But so this is an older article. We did learn today that there's going to be an announcement tomorrow for the Oblivion remake, which has been a rumor going on for quite a while now that there's going to be an updated version of Oblivion hitting Game Pass. And we will find out tomorrow for sure when it'll come out, what it's going to look like gameplay-wise. We're getting an Oblivion remake before we're getting the new Elder Scrolls. Which, not surprising. But as far as like what the comparisons are going to be, I don't know if you could see that. That is awfully dark. Let me see if I can get let me refresh this, because I got this from America's gaming source, Kotaku. But we got a graphics comparison here. So we've got the original on the left, and then the new game on the right with Unreal 5 engine on that. It looks, to me, detail-wise, it does look a little bit better. But is it going to be, as far as gameplay-wise, is it going to be a one-to-one mechanics-wise, or did they spruced up the mechanics for a modern audience? And that's what we'll find out tomorrow when they do their live stream. I'm not covering it. We may watch a video sometime on the next live stream and kind of comment on that. But the one thing I don't want to hear, we've remastered it for a modern audience, which could go one or two ways. One, they go in there and totally change everything, like story-wise, to meet it so they don't offend the people on Zitter who are not even going to play this game. Or we get into a situation where it is mentioned, and it could go the Indiana Jones route, because that's what they said on Indiana Jones when they announced that. We made Indiana Jones for a modern audience, and then there was hesitation on Indiana Jones. Then we played it, me included. I was very hesitant about it, but I got a request to play it. You can check that out at Nash Thunderclap on YouTube. And I loved the game. The game was great. I loved the Indiana Jones games. It was nothing like I thought it was going to be. It subverted my expectations. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So, yes. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll that to an end. I still got some work to do on OBS. I still got some work to do. So it is a work in progress for this stream. But I thought it a pretty good stream. I think it started off rocky, and then we got off to a good start. But hey, whether you liked it or you didn't like it, I appreciate anybody that gave me just a little bit of your time. I really appreciate it. And we will do this again very soon, maybe as early as tomorrow, which would be
April 22nd, but we will see on that. I got stuffs to do, but let me go ahead and get my plugs out of the way, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a night. One more time, don't forget to follow me on Kick. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. Those are for my gaming streams. Subscribe to me at youtube.com/@NashThunderclap. And right here at Nash Thunderclap Live. I'm on all the socials. Instagram, Facebook, Zitter. That's where you get all my updates. Everything's Nash Thunderclap. And while you're here, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Subscribe. It's a whole new channel. And I want to make this, I want to have a bigger build on this channel than I do my gameplay channel. I would really appreciate it. This is a journey we can go on together. And I hope in time I get better. And I hope you will follow me in that journey to get better. So, thank you ahead of time. Just thank you ahead of time for all of that. All right. So, we're going to go ahead and call this a night. Thank you again for watching. So, until next time, everybody, have a good night. Take it easy. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.